Will the Yankees bounce back tonight off a season-long 5-game losing streak? Wrigleyville tonight, summer air. Will the Padres-Cubs game explode in runs? Find out now on MLB Bases Loaded. A huge card on slate today.
15-game card. It's us versus the bookies. Bases loaded, high noon. It's going to be a showdown.
On a suddenly not so casual Friday, the buy hat is engaged. Two questions posed, answers to be found. It is MLB Bases Loaded. Tuesday, June the 30th, 2026, the last day of the month. We are here. I am the Shark. He is Mikey Money. Mike, what's going on this morning?
Fired up, man. It is a glorious baseball day, but I got to comment on being the World Cup whisperer. You know, the funny part about it is no games being played with changing unit counts. We're not talking 3%, 4%, 5%. It's just flat betting, be consistent, and show winning results. Looking to do the same thing here in Major League Baseball. Shark, I ask you this, 5% of what? 4% of what? And what's your record at 4% versus 5%? Come on, man. I know you feel the way I do when it comes to flat betting. Go out there and get them wins and deliver it consistently and be transparent for the people, man. That's what we're here to do with Bases Loaded.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, I've been saying this for years. I've actually never said it really on a show, but you know, one of the concepts about bankroll management in terms of actually telling who's good and who's not, you know, a billionaire could throw one unit at $1 billion a clip and be up more than anybody in world history. Does that make him the best sports bettor? No, it's sustainable. It is winning percentage. And of course, it is an opportunity to dominate. If you guys are in the chat, East Coast, we are at lunch hour, early summer window here on a Tuesday. If you guys are on the West Coast, get your coffee and get ready to dominate. First 15-game card of the week. And let's get down to business on a suddenly not so casual Tuesday, June the 30th, 2026. First game on the card, all evening games tonight, 6:35 in Baltimore. Going back to the well, the White Sox back at it again. Eric Fetty at Trey Gibson. Maybe not as transparent of a handicap as yesterday. Yesterday, I really liked the pitching matchup with Burke. Fetty a little more questionable. Mike, we're opening up. What's going on here?
Yeah, I think this is the fade Fetty spot. You know, it's not that sexy and it's not really, you know, I'm not a big fan of, you know, getting in the Gibson business here, but the numbers just show you that, you know, from a White Sox perspective, although I'll say this, you know, they have been firing, they have been winning. Great win yesterday. I think we both like the White Sox in that spot here, but you know, the White Sox against bad teams, below 500 teams are a loser. And you know, like I said, fade Fetty. You fade Fetty on the road, you're 28-9 over the last 37 games. So I'll fade the White Sox in this game here. Look at this total at 10.5, man. You know, I found some interesting numbers around the yes run first inning. The problem I have with that is that thing, I looked at it, that sucker's like minus 155. So I'll tell you where I think is a good look though. You know, look at this runs as well. Yeah, we've got the weather that's conducive to it. We've also got a situation where we've got pitchers that like to give up runs in the first inning. Both these guys are conceding 60 plus Yerfie rates out there. 60% Yerfie rates or better. So I think we see runs early. I think we see runs often. And I think that 10.5 is very telling as far as the outcome of this game is concerned. Shark, what are you going to do with this one?
No hats for me on this one. The buy hat is sitting still next to my desk here. Maybe we'll get back in there tomorrow, White Sox Whisperers. But Mike, you're leading me right towards it. The best look in this game is the over. And let the number tell you the story. Why is this 10.5? This is not Wrigley with wind. This is not Coors. It's not Sacramento. It's Baltimore, but it is the summer. It's going to be warm. It's going to be maybe not warm. It's going to be scorching hot. Fatigue for these pitchers, Fetty and Gibson. And, you know, Fetty's actually been pretty good this year, if we're being honest. 13 of his 16 starts, 3 earned runs or less. So he's serviceable. And when I was going through this earlier, I had to remind myself, this guy was actually a first-round draft pick coming out of Las Vegas. He actually went to high school with Bryce Harper. Like, for the casual fan, you see Fetty here, early 30s, back into the White Sox rotation. You don't actually think to yourself, blue chip prospect, Bryce Harper, Vegas. So this guy is high pedigree, but I do think he comes down tonight. I think he struggles. This guy, Trey Gibson, First-year starter, not really projected to be in the rotation, only in here because of Dean Kramer and Chris Bassett being injured. Talk about the line very briefly. Last night, the line was 9. It went over. This bumps up to 10 in game 2. You're going to see a lot of runs here tonight. Kind of a theme of the card, actually, as we go down the line. If you guys capped it yourself before you watched the show, you probably saw a lot of high totals on the card tonight. Take the over in this game. I expect to see 12 to 13 runs. And let's cash. Keeping it moving down the line here. Next game on the card, we're going to Philadelphia. Game 2 of this series, Pirates-Phillies. You talk about unpredictability. I draw you back to last night. Aaron Nola gets staked with a 5-0 lead. And promptly the score is 8-5 Pittsburgh before you get blink an eye. Now you get Sanchez-Chandler part 2. Sanchez did ace the Pirates on the road. Mike, does he instill more normalcy tonight?
What an absolute fail. I mean, I was looking at that Phillies. There's a couple of them yesterday, and I know we'll talk about them throughout the card here where it was like, all right, I don't care what the number looks like, just take it. And I felt pretty darn good seeing it early until I blinked my eyes, and I was like, really? And then every time they tried to pull back within, the Pirates just smacked them again. But the problem they've got going for them right now, one giant issue, it's Chris Sanchez. This dude is an absolute killer, man. This guy at home, playing against teams that have a sub 60% win rate. He just goes out there and delivers the goods. He's 25-1. And it's not just 25-1. They're winning games by over 3 runs a game. So it is dominating fashion. And then on top of that here, the Pirates, guess what? They struggle against lefties here. When you put them out there against a left-handed starter, as long as they're, not at home, they are 1-14. So you've got really the opportunity there to say they're missing by 3 runs a game in those spots. I think this is one of those opportunities where you key this thing in. And when I talk about the key, I mean, take the Phillies with this bloated number and stuff it on every other fucking play you have on the card for the day, because I think it's only going to give you good returns out there. I like the Philadelphia run line. I like Chris Sanchez to get the win. The problem with Chris Sanchez to get the win is it's -110. So Philadelphia first 5 -0.5 is like -150. I think, again, you key this thing, but lay the run line with the Phillies and expect them to go out there and maybe even an under for this Pittsburgh Pirates team here, team total under. But I like the Phillies run line.
Yeah, I wouldn't disagree. Just going back to that previous series, as I mentioned, these two pitchers actually did face off against each other heads up, which is great for the handicap on a Saturday night in Pittsburgh, May 16th. And Sanchez was at his highest level of powers in the game. He threw a complete game shutout, 9 innings, 0 runs, 13 strikeouts. Not necessarily saying he's going to throw a complete game shutout tonight. The environment is changed, obviously, at Citizens Bank Park, but I would definitely not go anywhere near the Pittsburgh situation tonight. I'll defer to Mike in this one. Mike, I don't mind that to get a win at -110. I think it's actually a nice little way to get neutral odds on the game. If you don't want to pay 2-1 for the money line and maybe you're a little afraid of the run line just because of some sort of variance, I do see Sanchez absolutely going 6 innings and having a quality start and having a lead. Our guy says bullpen's doing no favors. You are right, sir. That is probably an issue with that as well. But for me, I do like that to get a win. So, Mike, what was the official run line?
Yeah, I go with the run line. Drop that. I think it's around -105. It's within the realm of reason. I don't like to lay odds and juice here, but I told you guys the margin should be around 3 runs. So you could probably even get away with that -2.5 for an alt. I wish it was a lot wider a gap out there, but -104 run line, Philadelphia Phillies smash. Let's go.
No disagreement. Take the Phillies and let's cash. Keeping it moving down the line. Next game, 6:40 in Cleveland. Game 2 of this series, Rangers at Guardians, DeGrom at Bybee. We nailed this game last night with emphasis. We told you guys to take the Rangers. I also gave you guys the over 6-3 Rangers. We like cash quick, fast. Now we get a redo of the situation tonight with 2 really high-level pitchers on the bump. Mike, what's going on here?
A lot of people kind of have that Bybee takedown. Can't win with Bybee. But, if you look back at it, they're 3-1 in his last 4 starts. So, yeah, they can. He might not be able to catch the wins, but that's because Cleveland just doesn't have enough strength in the bats, right? They're just not as consistent when it comes to, knocking the thing yardstick there. And it's not how they're set up to compete with the AL Central. Teams are designed to compete against their own division. And so you've got grind them out, pitching duels, low scoring games, and you just hope that you can catch that 4-3 victory or 3-2 victory out there. With this game, kind of a little bit of a head faker as well. You've got 59% of the bets and 67% of the cash coming in on the Texas Rangers. Lines come down 7 cents, but conversely, it's gone up 8 cents on the Guardians side of things here. So I like the Texas Rangers in this case here. DeGrom, by the way, on the money line here, if he's playing outside of the division, dude's a killer. As long as he's not over like minus 400, right? So they're not expecting him to go out there and scorch the earth out there. Jacob DeGrom, 26-1 over a 6-year stretch. I mean, that is pretty freaking epic. And you got to go with that. You got to ride that thing out there. So I think you catch the Texas Rangers at a discount. I'll go one further. I like the total in this game as well. I think this is a nice little under spot. You know, you start looking at these two guys and their ability to go out there and, you know, look, I mentioned 3-1 their last 4 with the Tanner Bybee spots, 6-0 against that Texas Rangers team that last time road game 4 games ago, 3-2 win, 4-3 win. I mean, they're keeping the score down. So if you can catch that 8's at minus 114, I think are a nice little gift as well. So I even like the parlay. I like the Texas Rangers so much in this spot. I would parlay Texas in the under 8.
I wish I could agree because I love the passion, but I have the Guardians in this game. What I have written down here is elite pattern. And what I'm about to tell you guys for me is something that when I read the newspaper in the morning, it's not really a newspaper. It's called a computer in 2026. My eyes light up. And you go back to the previous series, these teams played in Texas. The first game was actually a Texas victory, and it was Parker Messick taking the loss. Game 2 of that series, the bounce back for Cleveland was none other than Tanner Bybee, 6-0 win. And you're talking about people saying you can't buy Bybee. Well, you couldn't for a while. The guy was 1-11 straight up between the end of March and mid-May. He didn't get his first win of the season until that game against Texas, and he was absolutely elite in the matchup. 8 innings pitched, 0 earned runs. And when I was looking at this before, I noticed 87 pitches, no complete game shutout. Guardians managers, put the analytics book down. Let the man throw 100 pitches and get the freaking complete game. Speaking of complete games and dominant, DeGrom got them in game 3. So, Mike, both pitchers looking great in this environment. So I say, how do I get to the Guardians? This is the second point of the pattern, which is even stronger. The Rangers are on a 5-game winning streak. The only other time this year they won 5 straight games. They won the last 4 games of that streak by 1, 3, 1, and 3. If you guys look at their calendar, what did they win by in the last 4 games? 1, 3, 1, and 3. It's identical. I swear we're robots living in the universe here. That's the next game off that 5-game losing streak. They played a road game on a weeknight at St. Louis. They were laying pretty much the exact same figure, small favorite, lost the game by margin, 5-3. Final point on this, Mike, as you said, Bybee has turned a corner. Only 5 earned runs this month in 26 1/3 innings pitched. I think it's a zigzag. Cleveland is 2-0 at home this year against an AL West opponent in game 2 of a series after losing the first game. Really high-level patterns for me here, Mike. I don't think you can dispute the patterns. What do you think?
Was this one the 7 o'clock start, or are we still before the 7 p.m. hour?
This is 6:40 p.m.
All right. So you got 6 hours and 20 minutes to cancel your bet, my friend. We'll see you at the window.
Remember this tomorrow, guys. 1-3-1-3, 2-run loss. We'll see if the universe is talking to us tomorrow. We love to have the conversation. If you guys are in the chat, if you're tailing the Guardians, type Guardians. If you're tailing the Rangers, type Rangers. Let's fire it up, people. It's the summer. It's hot. Get engaged with us. Let's dominate, and let's keep it moving. Next game on the card, we're going to the Bronx. Big dog stuff here. Cam Schlittler against Tarek Skubal. Mike, when I was handicapping this before, forget my eyes lighting up. My competitive fires started to boil within. This is a huge matchup tonight, Mike. What's going on here?
You know, the funny thing about sports gambling as a whole, like a lot of people, they're afraid to lose, right? Like, they'll give out like one play and we're 9-1 in our last 10. We're making one play a day. And okay. Maybe you're afraid to give out 2 or 3 plays because you know you're going to lose and you're not that good overall here. But my point around that is I'm losing like crazy with this Yankees losing streak, man. And I'm going to go back to him again today because I can't imagine they lose 5 in a row. I also like the Schlittler advantage over Skubal. I think Skubal, you talked about this before, maybe a little checked out of Detroit, looking to get the hell out of there. Like, it's not a matter of if, it's when at this point. And, I don't even think this guy really needs to put what Skubal needs to do right now to showcase that he can go somewhere else is exhibit confidence that his arm is fine, right? He had the surgery and let everybody feel good about your health status. And I don't think that they need to go out there and snag this win. So I like the Yankees again. I'm not afraid to take a loss. I'm certainly not afraid to take a loss with the Yankees. I'll certainly give you several of my strongest looks of the day. And I think this Yankee spot is one of them.
Yeah, so I want to read you guys a couple points from Yankees X Twitter here. It seems like the entire brand just want to rip this team to shreds. So the Yankees are hitting 12 for 123. That is .098 batting average as a team in their last 4 games. That's the worst batting average over a 4-game window in franchise history. Same window, they've actually given up 14 unearned runs. That is the worst in a 5-game span since 1990. If you listen to WFAN New York, if you listen to people in the media, they would tell you the Yankees stink, they're injured, they're terrible, and they're everything. Mike and I pride ourselves on one thing: not reporting the past, using the information to predict the future. The future is now. The buy hat is engaged. Yankees, I have seen enough. This is where it turns the corner. And guess what, guys? It gets a little more convenient than just a little data analysis. We get Cam Schlittler on the bump tonight. The guy's an absolute genius. He's the front runner for the American League Cy Young. He's also coming off a loss. Talk about unearned runs. He lost the game at Boston last weekend where he did actually give up 0 earned runs in the game. Schlittler is 4-0 this year off a loss, 100% cover rate on the bounce back. And as Mike said, the Yankees on this losing streak, they have lost 5 in a row. They have not gotten to 6 this year. This is their market cap point on the low side. 1-0 this year off of a 5-game losing streak. And let's talk Skubal for a second. As Mike was saying, this guy's checked out. He's going to get traded. He's really a high-level guy. Like, I was listening to him in the clubhouse. I like his energy. He's got a little Kobe Bryant in him. He shit talks. He was shit talking the dugout. If you guys watched some clips, he was yelling at, I think it was like the Twins dugout or somebody in the division. But regardless, he's underperforming on the road. He's 2-4 on the road. He just faced the Yankees and gave up 3 home runs. Mike, you nailed that handicap last week with Goldschmidt taking the guy a yard.
Right off the gate.
Right, first batter of the game. And if you just look at the line functionality here, that loss, he was favored at home, -135. You rarely ever see Skubal as an underdog. Let that tell you the story. This is an incredibly strong handicap. It checks every box. The buy hat is engaged. And Mike, going back to that, do you think Goldschmidt tees off on this guy again tonight?
I don't see why not. The thing about this Yankees rotation now in this order, Jazz Chisholm's questionable and dealing with that injury. He got yanked out of that last game a little bit there. So, yeah, I think that this is probably someone's got to pick up the slack. So, speaking of home runs, though, it does feed right in to let you guys know we are in day 6 of the Sports Money Network's Home Run Derby promo, and you too can get your shot at a Sports Money prize pack. It's the Home Run Derby here on the Sports Money Network. You guys excited to bring you the first of its kind contest here on the Sports Money Network with prizes and giveaways galore, courtesy of the Sports Money Network. We're looking to get you guys a 9-day contest. Starts June 25th through July 3rd, and all you have to do is comment below. The Home Run Derby prediction needs all 4 criteria: the player name, the team name, the home run pricing or odds that you got that at, and the book you got them from. As an example, you would say Aaron Judge with the Yankees at +250 on DraftKings in the comments section. It's 1 entry per person per day. Must include all 4 components out there. The entry counts. And you come back daily. We'll give you guys updates as the contest progresses. I think you have what it takes to win the Home Run Derby. Comment below and let's cash together with the Sports Money Network. I'm like an addict. Shark, you know what I find is problematic with society? Little anecdotal conversation here as we dive into the baseball slate with you guys is
Let me get my coffee here for a second. I'll sit back and I'll listen to a little beautiful life talk from Mike here.
yeah, it's amazing. Just and a little disappointing how people can just forget. Just forgot. It's 9 days. They enter like day 1 or day 2, and then they just stop. It's like, where's that stick to itiveness? Where's the see it through to the finish line capability out there? And I get shit happens and you miss 1 or 2, it's so be it. But like, how many people started in like 1 day and 2 days and then they just, I don't know if they lose interest. I mean, we keep the contest short. Learned over time, you can't have a 30-day contest. You need to keep it short. It's got to be a quick hit. You got to put some cash on the line. And I'm just really amazed at I know a lot of people following through for sure, but I just saw a couple as I was doing some record updates, and I was like, man, are people just lazy? What's going on out there, Shark? I don't know. That's just my
It's the summertime too. You know, I know. I mean, we're all human beings. We've lived some decades in this life. I mean, it's hot out. People feel lethargic, and that's one of the beautiful things about this show is we really try to juice you guys up outside of just making picks. So, guys, feed into the energy of us and giving you guys the Yankees, as I said, at -113. This is really a high-level handicap, and we're going to call all Yankees media tomorrow and say, you heard it here first. Yankees win tonight. Let's turn it up in the Bronx. I've seen enough. And let's keep it moving. Next game on the card, going to Toronto, 7:07. We love that time. Kevin Gausman on the bump at home against Nolan McLean. Gausman coming off of 2 absolutely terrible starts. Mike, you faded him correctly in the last start. It was Texas. Now you get the Mets. Gausman's got to take care of business tonight, right?
I go with the Mets again, man. Listen, I'm not a Gausman fan, so it doesn't take much to get me off this guy in the first place. The second point is, McLean, he plays pretty well. I'll give it to him. Listen, there's some sharp respected betting coming in on the New York Mets. They're driving in on this thing. I messaged you yesterday and I said, how about this? Didn't realize it at the time. I wish I had the benefit of hindsight here to reset the clock, but 1-15, the New York Mets, the first game of a new series after playing the Phillies. For whatever reason, them boys struggle against each other and they beat each other up. Kind of made me start thinking of like those old school, like Eagles Giants matchups there, where it's like these teams are Eagles Cowboys. They beat each other up in the trenches and they're exhausted that following game when you come out there. It's almost like we saw some trends in football season. You finished playing the Lions the following week, you're taking a loss because they just beat you up and wear you down. But I think they can bounce back here with this McLean start. I also like this game to have some runs associated with it here. As a friend of mine was talking to me this morning about Gausman's going to go fire in his under 2.5. And I started thinking it's an interesting take because, the expectation off of his previous start was, probably should bounce back. The Mets in game 2 on the road are a loser. They have lost 5 in a row. And historically over the last 22 seasons, I know you like those. They're winning at about 58% if you fade them boys here, but feels like a short number for Gausman. We'll talk about that like with the Dodgers, and that was a short number too. But why is he -113 right now? And you got that 55% edge on the Mets. So I'll take the Mets. I'll take a shot with McLean to fire it up. And, I'll say this. The bullpen is number 4 in baseball. It's moved up 4 points this past week for this Toronto Blue Jays team. But I still think in terms of rest advantage, the New York Mets bullpen does have the edge there. So I'll take the Mets. Give me the win. Give me a plus. Let's see what we got here. Plus 108 New York Mets.
I don't think the rest advantage matters. I think the only rest that is needed in this game is I think the New York Mets need to give it a rest for the entire season. I have seen enough. The buy hat is engaged. I tried to get on the Mets yesterday, and I was quickly reminded in the first inning as to precisely why you don't want to buy the Mets. If you guys look at that game tape yesterday, one word, inexcusable. Juan Soto in the first inning had a pretty routine fly ball, maybe a little low, but he should have taken it on one hop. He gets caught in between in total no man's land, lets the ball go to the wall. Fine, you misplay the ball. His body language after misplaying that ball was like 0 out of 10. It looked like he could give 2 shits about what was going on. He just sort of like, oh, whatever, my bad. So then the center fielder comes over and boots the ball again. And the headlines, oftentimes we kind of tell you guys the headlines are incorrect. It was right. They're calling it a little league home run. Guys, you remember when you're playing T-ball, a ground ball becomes a home run because the entire infield boots the ball. Little League All-Stars have about 20 errors on their resume per game. No earned runs. That all being said, absolutely wild, but it gets even worse, in my opinion, psychologically. Despite that craziness, they still only lost the game 2-1. So it wasn't like the Blue Jays really jumped on them. The Mets had the entire game to push back to eradicate their mistake, and they just couldn't do it. And I have written down here, yesterday we said the Mets had better psychology than Toronto. I'm just a flip-flopper. I should be a politician. Yesterday I gave you guys a speech about the Mets having good psychology. Today I'm telling you they're terrible. But that's what happens when I see that play last night. I flipped a switch. And you talk about Gausman, I think he can flip a switch tonight. Mike, we're talking about patterns. This is really high-level stuff for Gausman within the month of June. Go through his June starts. He had a road start at Atlanta where he got hit, 4 earned runs, came home start 1, poor start against Baltimore. Home start 2 off 2 bad starts. His last really good start, he did ace the Yankees at home on June 13th, only 1 earned run before getting slaughtered in the previous 2 games. So he has this pattern of 2 bad ones, 1 good one, and a good one off a previous bad home start, which that was. And final point on this. Nolan McLean, in my opinion, is kind of hitting that conversation we had yesterday about Savage and Parker Messick. Second year, the league is starting to catch on to this guy a little bit. You saw him get rocked in his previous start. He hasn't necessarily bounced back off of really bad starts this year. The last time he gave up 6 earned runs, the very next start he gave up 7. I think the Mets are kind of in over their head. I think Gausman bounces back. Slight disagreement here. The buy hat is engaged. If you guys are taking the Jays, type Jays. If you guys are taking the Mets, I don't know what to tell you, actually.
Save your tickets and then come back here tomorrow and remind Shark that this one's at 7:07. So he's got 6 hours and 36 minutes to cancel his bet.
People in New York are vibing with me right now. If you're taking the Mets, jump in the Hudson River and just call it a day.
But jump into the cesspool that's called the Hudson River.
That is that. Let's keep it moving down the line. Next game on the card, interleague baseball in Boston tonight. Nats Red Sox game 2. Last night, Ranger Suarez, I said it, he's kind of on his own island. He's taking care of business for the Red Sox, and he did it again. Now you get Conley early against Cade Cavalli. You get this is a slated ace spot for the Nats. Can the Nats bounce back, Mike?
I don't know. I don't know. I don't know what to make of what I saw yesterday with Balt. I mean, Nationals went up early and I was feeling good. And then again, it was one of those blink your eyes and holy shit, Boston's up there smacking him in the mouth. And probably see a little bit of the same, right? Finishing, feeling pretty good. Is Boston that bad? They should probably be in that bounce back situation here. The Nationals against lefties, though, on the road, they have performed this season. But I guess that's that begs the question: how long can they continue to sustain this rate of success here? I know home favorites after winning the first game of a series do go back and continue to smash. Not much zigzag. Surprisingly enough, if you're the home favorite after you won the first game of the series, you're winning that next game 63% of the time over the last 17 seasons. So I'll take the Red Sox. I'll take a shot with early and probably Washington early, but early and company find a way to pull out the dub.
Yeah, I agree. I think there's a Red Sox spot. And our guy's talking about putting in a big bet on the Red Sox for most July wins. I mean, it's a buy team unequivocally. I've been talking about this every day. You don't expect teams to have a positive run differential if you are where the Red Sox are in the standings. They're a buy team without question. And you look at the situation for Washington here. Cavalli on the road at the American League is actually 2-0. But his last start at this division at Tampa Bay, he was actually terrible in the game. I don't know how the Nats actually pulled out a win. They beat the Rays 4-3. He only went 2 2/3, 6 hits, 3 walks, 68 pitches, only 2 earned runs. I expect labor from Washington tonight. I think the Red Sox will continue upward movement. This kid Conley early, he's a dog. He's a player. Mike, you know where he went to college?
No.
I'm using that because this is such a good point for the handicap. He went to West Point. He's an Army cadet. You talk about boot camp. These guys have gamer in them. Big time stuff. Take the Red Sox and let's cash. Keeping it moving in the early slate here tonight. 7:15. in
It always makes
Atlanta.
me laugh when you start talking about where they went to school and stuff. I enjoy that segment quite a bit. That's next level research right there. And whether they like to play on the East Coast or the West Coast, I love it. It's all great stuff.
Every time I look at a guy, and particularly the pitchers, and I look at where they went to college, I just kind of visualize who they are through their college process. Like I mentioned, Gage Jump went to LSU, SEC. It really makes a difference. It kind of tells a story of who a person is. But we got an Army guy on the bump for the Red Sox tonight. Anyway, next game on the card here, Braves Cardinals. This is the first game of the card that is actually a series opener tonight. Two of them. Perez against Liberatore. Liberatore, good God. I mean, talk about being in awful form this month, Mike. Does he get it together tonight?
So I started off this thing looking at it going, there's a little narrative out there. It inspired me after looking at that Phillies Mets situation. How does the team perform after a previous opponent? St. Louis finds themselves in a strong over position. So kind of gave me a little pause here where I looked at it and said, boy, then we look at the total and it's gone from 9 to 9.5. Then I started thinking about it being Hotlanta, the number one under ballpark in the country today. In fact, in North America, since we've got Toronto Blue Jays and the 6 involved in this thing. Perez coming out here, looking pretty strong, looking pretty sharp, but I can't ignore it. You got an under ballpark, Atlanta Braves. My guy JPZ was saying the other day, stop betting the Braves. We'll take this Liberatore spot with some plus money in their over position in an under ballpark out there. That just to me says they put more runs on the board than the other guys, and that's how you win these games. So frankly, how about this? When you want to validate it, 81% of the bets and 86% of the cash are hitting the Braves right now. It's come down from 160 to 138. With all of that money, why are the books giving you a discount? Doesn't make sense here. I'll take the plus 133 with the Cards.
Yeah, I mean, it seems like a sharp take for sure. I mean, as I said, Liberatore all month has looked absolutely terrible. I don't know what it is, but June, 15 2/3 innings pitched, 18 earned runs, just getting lit up. But if you guys follow this guy's career, he really is that guy that the minute you start to think he's terrible is right when he turns the corner and looks better. And I think that's kind of the situation here tonight as to why the market's moving towards him. I don't have anything in this game. I wouldn't disagree. It is a pretty stinky take, though. I'll say that. This guy looks absolutely terrible at the present moment. But, of course, we'll probably revisit this tomorrow when he holds them to 1 run and they win like 5-2 or something. So
guy's got a fucking no-hitter going in the 8th inning. I was going to comment about that with that Yankees game, too. Like, can you expect these Yankees to see these what's going on that, not to take a giant step backwards here, but you talk about Liberatore and his poor form, and Perez probably due for some regression here, but what the heck's going on with them Yankee bats that they're giving these guys like no hitters into the 7th and 8th innings? I mean, that's just mystery personified here, but anyhow.
Yeah, honestly, backtracking in the card is not even problematic because it's all so interwoven together. Like baseball, all the teams, how they all interact, they all play. There's so many different cross dynamics. So it's kind of just the way it plays. Anyway, let's keep it moving down the card here. Next game on the card, divisional baseball in Milwaukee tonight. 7:40, game 2 of this series. Brandon Sproat against Rhett Lauder. 2 young pitchers. 2 pitchers looking quite good. We mentioned it yesterday. Sproat really lit up the Reds on the road. 10 Ks in 6 innings. Mike, can he do it again?
I really liked the over yesterday. I was a little disappointed to see that final 8.5, and it, got the hook. That's why they're sharp. Books are sharp, man. Brewers have been dominating the Reds. They're 30-12. It's a strong Brewer spot, I think, in this case. It's not one of my favorite games on the board here. I think you got to continue to take. I was excited about this series. It doesn't change my thought process around being excited about it or not, but I would just lay the run line with the Brewers at plus 127 and expect Sprout to go out there and handle business here today. On the flip side of things with Lauder, they're just not winning behind this guy. So I think this is one of those spots where you can just look back at it and say, what we saw yesterday is evidence that, the bats had some pop. They got some zip. And we talked about the pitching duel versus the batting capabilities out there. I think the Brewers run line plus 127 sounds like a good spot.
Yeah, I agree. I'm on the same take. Run line, they're going to blow them out again. I mean, last night, you talk about this domination, which I told you guys yesterday. First of all, it's the run differential. I mean, the Brewers are 173 runs better than the Reds. Just do some translation there. It almost adds up to roughly plus 2 runs per game. I mean, it's just that wide of a margin. And you saw it yesterday. if the Reds were going to do anything in this series, it had to have come yesterday.
Yeah.
They had a 3-0 lead through the first 5, and they just kind of gradually gave it back, eventually gave up 2 runs against bottom 8 to lose by margin anyway. So it's like, we say this with every sport, like when a team gives everything they had and they still couldn't cover, what do they have left? I don't think much. And as I said, Sproat aced this lineup last week. He's really in the beginning of his journey. He's very young. Lauder's been inconsistent on the road, and Lauder is 0-3 road in the division. Average loss by 5.7 runs per game. So this guy Lauder, when he goes on the road in divisional games, the Reds can get absolutely blown out. And just to give it even more emphasis, Lauder at Pittsburgh, we were joking about this final score about a month and a half ago. The Reds lost the game 17-7. I thought it was Steelers-Bengals. I mean, really, this guy can just get absolutely toasted. So I think you're going to see a blowout here again tonight. There's a class difference in this game. Milwaukee's won every game this year. I don't know if they're going to go 13-0, but if they give one back, it's probably going to be on the road, not at home. This is all over Milwaukee. Take the run line and let's cash. Next game on the card. Going to Kansas City. This is the second game tonight that is the first game of a series. Royals hosting the Rays. Second series in recent history. These teams did play 4 last week in Tampa. They did split Jax Cameron Part 2. These pitchers did face off heads up in that previous series. Mike, another high line here. What's going on?
Yeah, I think this is a high line again because of that kind of differential I was telling you about. The 2 series that's starting here based on their previous opponents both. The Kansas City Royals find themselves in the 9-4-1 over position. He just came off a game against the White Sox. They like to go out there and put the ball in the play out there, and it makes sense. You know, you see back-to-back road starts on top of that. I can't fade Tampa Bay in this case here. I'm not that – I don't love Kansas City in any way, shape, or form here. I was a big Cameron guy previously, but yeah, haven't just seen each other and battled this thing here. I think probably we can see the zigzag, right? These guys are literally starting against after not having any other competitors in between, and I think that leads to the over. So I think you see runs. I think you've, again, 9-4-1 for that Kansas City spot, coming off a White Sox series that they see runs 9.5. Here's the thing about this one is it opened at 10.5, so it has come down. And I like it. I think we're getting it at a discount. So give me some runs in, we're not in Tampa. We're not in the Trop. We can see the ball fly out of the yard here. So let's go.
I agree. Yeah, absolutely. Over in this game is the top look official play. We'll make that a collaboration. And yeah, you go back to last week. It was Wednesday, June the 24th. These 2 pitchers at the Trop, 5-3 final. What was your line there? 7.5. This is where my eyes light up. The books moved the line to 10.5 a week later. That is 3 full runs of line functionality. My projection is 14 runs. And I said this on a show last year where I projected runs like this in a stadium not called Coors, and somebody said I was just a lunatic. And the game actually hit precisely the amount of runs I said. So listen, guys, this is sharp stuff. You look at Cameron in that game. He underperformed. He was terrible. 8 hits, 3 walks, over a 2.0 whip, 5 earned runs in only 5 innings. And Cameron is 6-2 versus the home over. Last 2 home games, wildly high involving this guy, 8-7 over against Houston. And Thursday, June 18th, 14-6 against St. Louis. We're not going to go into extreme detail on this. It's summertime. It's outdoors. It's a smaller ballpark. There's not a lot of infrastructure up top on the width of Kauffman Stadium. It's one of the smaller parks. What that means is the wind is not being blocked. It will be coming in and blowing out. It's going to be an arduous game for the pitchers. Griffin Jackson's been running a little too clean himself. I think he'll give up some runs. It's going to be a wide open game. Take the over and let's cash. Keeping it moving down the line. Next game on the card. Going back to Wrigley, Padres Cubs, game 2 of this series, game 5 of the season series. Last night's game 3-2. We gave you guys an over. It didn't really come close, but if you go into the box score, there were 28 runners on base last night. Somehow we got 3-2 with 28 runners. High line tonight, Mike. What's going on here?
Yeah, it's funny because we talked about this kind of debate, if you will. I know there's a lot of different styles and philosophies in the cap, but yesterday's line was a great example. It's 11.5. The wind's pushing things out center field. And yet, with all that money coming in on the over, they dropped it to 10.5 to close. I mean, that was absolutely, and we do the show at 12. So not like you can come back at 7:30 and say, oh, I changed my mind. I mean, our bets were made at that point. So this isn't quite the same deal, but then you got to look back at it. Just reflecting on why it was a bad cap. I mean, the Padres don't put a ton of balls in the air. They also have one of the best, if not the best bullpen in baseball. So where are the runs going to come from? And I think we find it again today. Probably a little false flag here with this over 11.5, but I like the Padres. I like the price. I'm going to jump in here. When I looked at this cap, the very first thing I thought was shame on us for yesterday. And the second thing I thought was Boyd again. This fucking guy has been on the starting rotation 4 of the last 5 times the Cubs have played. I don't know what's going on with this dude, but I think there's some injuries happening there as well. There's a lot of uncertainty with his position in the roster. Sears coming back. He's fresh. He had a good start his last go round out there. I'll take all things to me say, this is a great San Diego Padres spot.
I wouldn't disagree. I think the Padres could get them. I am going with the over, however. I'm staying the course. And what I said, when I introed this game, when you see a box score, 28 runners is not supposed to translate to 5 runs. I don't have exact projections, but it's loosely 30% of base runners are supposed to score. So you do a little math there. It comes out to roughly just over 9 runs. So the game last night in terms of expected value underachieved by over 4 runs. And you go through this matchup. J.P. Sears, first road start of the year, looked pretty good at home. Last year was absolutely terrible on the road. And we talked about this when Sears started out west last week. And I told you, he used to pitch for the Yankees. He's undersized. He's not overpowering. He's in the zone. He's kind of like, crazy to say this, Mike, he's kind of like a poor man's Andrew Abbott. He's a lefty. He's a little undersized, not high velocity. He's not as good as Abbott, if we're being honest. I think he gets rocked. I don't disagree San Diego wins, Mike, but I could see a crazy one like 10-9. I think this is going to be an insane game, and the books do agree. Matthew Boyd signed with the Cubs before the 2025 season, so you wouldn't expect him to have a lot of data against the Padres, not a divisional opponent. We do. He's faced the Padres 4 times in the last 2 seasons, and the lines in those games for the totals were 6.5, 7.5, 6.5. The last time he pitched at Wrigley, final score 3-1. So the books got it right. 7.5. Last time he pitched against San Diego was this year in April out west. Final score 9-7. So this is where Boyd is getting hit this season by the Padres lineup. I think it's a bounce back off that kind of disastrous handicap last night. As I said, unpacking the box score leads you to think there will be more runners and efficiency scoring runs tonight. And the books do agree with a skyrocketing total here. I like the over. Mike likes the Padres. I don't disagree with the Padres, Mike. I could see a scrappy one tonight. Bunch of stuff in this game, guys. Let's dominate. Mike, and we got a video.
I made a comment in the chat there regarding, I saw Kelly V put a comment out there. I'm curious your thoughts on this. So she says, San Diego faces the Dodgers next series, sandwich series, Cubs -1. So I followed it up and said, they just played the Dodgers. This is only game 2 of the series. I mean, you think they're just going to say, fuck this series? We got the Dodgers next, so let's just give them all up to the Cubs? Or you think they want to go out there and attack, thinking that they got the Dodgers coming? You think I wondered, is the Dodgers even on their mind at this point, given that they're in the middle of a series at Wrigley?
It's a great question. I think that figuring out psychology in baseball is incredibly difficult, if we're being honest, because it's really hard to unpack 162 games as to which ones really matter versus matter somewhat versus don't matter. You know what I mean? Like there's so many degrees here, like in the 100-point scale. for me, like if you want to call the Dodgers series like a 95 out of 100 for the Padres, I wouldn't downgrade this to trap, which would be like 10%. I'd say this is like 65%. So yes, it's not as focused as Dodgers, but it's not just like we're not showing up to the stadium. And I do agree, Mike. Like when you play that many games, you kind of like get into tunnel vision within the season where there is no exterior. You're just there. And
Right.
I think that there's no distractions based on that. Like they never get to really leave the tunnel of baseball for like 6 months. So I think it really internalizes and focuses the players. So I do disagree with Kelly on that. I don't think there's a look ahead at all. I think they're here. It's going to be Tuesday night in Chicago, and that's that. So we can always agree to disagree on baseball too, because again, 162, like pretty crazy. But
interesting angle. Nonetheless, it's always access to information that prevails. So good conversation, good stuff.
Absolutely. And we could talk about that for hours because it's just so layered and so detailed. But let's keep it moving down the line here. Next game on the card, Twins at Astros, game 2 of this series. Joe Ryan and Mike Burrows. Missed this one last night. We were actually pretty heavy on the Astros yesterday. They just didn't perform. Now you got to come back in a bounce back. Not exactly where you want to bounce back against Joe Ryan. Mike, what's going on here?
Yeah, I just don't like this bat situation from the Astros. You know, Burrows, I don't know. I'm going to take the Twins. I'm not going to belabor this one here. I like Joe Ryan. I think he's the better pitcher in this case. The Astros, when they get cold, they really do get cold here. And frankly, you know, if the total's over, if it's 7.5 or higher, so with the exception of the outliers with the wind blowing in Chicago or Seattle with their fucking 7s, you fade this guy, you're 12-3. So give me Joe Ryan, give me Minnesota first 5, give me Minnesota full game. I think you're catching really good numbers. The first 5 is like minus 135, full game sitting there at minus 115. Yeah, I like the Minnesota Twins in this spot.
I agree. I think the Twins win. I'm going to give you guys the over, contrarian over here. Your eyes should light up when you see this number. Joe Ryan's on the bump and the number's 8.5 or 9. What? This is just a cluster. And I think it's juice balls, maybe. I think it's fatigue. I think there's a lot going on here. Not only that, you get great matchup data here. Burrows and Ryan did face off against each other heads up in Minnesota on May 20th. And guess what the final score was, guys? 4-1 Twins. What was the line? 7.5. So do the equation with me. 7.5 under 4-1. Same pitchers. They don't have to move it up. They're telling you there's going to be a lot of runs. And Mike, that was one of your classic, like, full sprint games too. I'm looking at the final time of that game. That was only a 2 hour and 15-minute game. It was like a classic fast-paced pitchers duel. And you look at Ryan on the road, he has struggled situationally. Burrows will underperform in this spot. Not going to be long-winded on it. Let the number tell you the story. This is going to be an over. I see 9 to 10 runs in this game. Take the over and let's cash. Keeping it moving down the line. Speaking of overs, going back to Colorado tonight, Marlins-Rockies game 2. Yuri Perez at Tanner Gordon. We gave you guys a conversation yesterday telling you there's going to be a lot of runs. 17 runs later, we get to do it again, Mike. What's going on here tonight?
Yeah, this is one of them spots yesterday where I looked at the number, and I know a lot of people were like, oh, it's short. Well, it wasn't short enough, and Marlins prevailed. I'm not going to complicate it. I think the Marlins do it again today. You know, they're in a position here. They're just in terms of being on a hot streak and a heater, that be the Miami Marlins right now. So a head fake potential qualification here. They've gone from minus 141 to minus 127. You got 84% of the bets and 84% of the cash, but it's gone from plus 120 to plus 127 on the Rocky side of things. So they're head faking you guys. I think this is a spot where you just take this Marlins team, you know, in the favorite role against the National League. They've won 10 in a row. They are on a streak. They are on a heater, and I think it continues here. And I think you catch them early at this minus 127.
Disagreement here. I'm going back to my old wood shop, and that usually leads me to the contrarian side of these spots where it's a little short for the team that appears to be better. I'm looking at this number. First of all, it opens short. And Mike, as you said, it's getting steamed down pretty significantly. You ask yourself why? 2 words, Yuri Perez. This guy's young. He doesn't travel well. He's 0-5 road outside of the division. And he has looked really poor, notably at Western time. Not only that, I have written down in front of me, Coors Field levels the playing field between these teams. The Rockies are a different team at home. They're 18-23 in this stadium. That is, for this team, that is pretty solid. And the Miami Marlins on the road are 17-23. So talk about neutralizing the playing field. Both teams basically have the same record in this environment. And you look at last year, Perez pitched a game at Colorado. He did struggle. Miami got the win, but he did struggle. Game went over the total, 6-5 on a 10. Perez did pitch in the opening series of the year in Miami. As we told you guys yesterday, it's the second series between these teams this year. He did catch a win, 4-3. Low line, 7.5. Now this jumps to 11.5, and it jumps down 62 points. Tanner Gordon is not going to pitch more than 3 innings, so don't let this guy's 6.37 ERA really kind of like get in your way when you're handicapping this. You're going to just get a bullpen game. And I said it yesterday. When the Rockies win these games, you never feel like they're in complete control. Like they don't come out and beat a team 12-1. It's just going to be back and forth. It's going to be a crazy game. I got the contrarian side of this game. I also have the over. I think you're going to see a ton of runs. Mike, I believe you align with the over.
Yeah, I like the over. I disagree with you when you say this line opened up short, though. It opened up at -156 for the road favorite. So that's not short to me. That's for Miami. That's right where they should be. The challenge is, and if it does become a bullpen game, I think they're in trouble, man. That Rockies bullpen ranks 26th overall. I mean, just for frame of reference, there's 30 teams in baseball. So they're damn near the bottom of this thing. And you got momentum carries, kinetic energy moves forward here. And look, the Rockies at Coors in game 2, when you want to talk about that potential pitching battle, they suck. If you fade them, you're 62-28. So why? Well, one pitcher versus one pitcher, two pitcher versus two pitcher. Their 2 is not good. And if you're going to the bullpen in that 2 spot with Gordon, you're taking the 26th out of 30 bullpen in baseball. And hey, good luck. Marlins time for us. I do like the opener. I do think we see runs.
Yeah, great conversation. We will see. And as I mentioned, these Rockies games are crazy. So enjoy the game, guys. Let's cash and let's keep it moving. Next game on the card, going out west, 9:40 p.m. Angels-Mariners, game 2 of this series. Big dog matchup here. Pitchers at the high level of quality. Jose Soriano at Brian Wu. Mike, we said it last night. We saw a huge line for George Kirby. The books got it right. They won by 4 runs. You had to pay for it. You could have laid a run line. This is a similar line. It's very strong, particularly against Jose Soriano. Mike, margin again tonight for the Mariners, or what's going on here?
Probably. I see. I didn't change the Miami logo. My bad. But I was excited about fading this game and just moving on from it here because the Mariners at home are beasts. Their bats wake up. They get the wins. Brian Wu at home gets the job done as well. But I don't want to pay this tag for it. So I probably won't have too much going on. I did like the no-run first inning in this game yesterday. Clearly missed it because the Angels, too stupid to know they were going to lose that game. But I would probably go back to that again today. The no-run first inning look in this game. Don't love this game. I don't really have much going on with this thing. I mean, Sirianno, I like him in the first 5, but Brian Wu at home finds a way to get the job done, Shark. So I will defer to you, my friend.
Yeah, I'll defer to the chat if anybody has anything on this one. I hate this game. This is my least favorite game on the whole card. I mean, I think this is just overpriced, and both pitchers are kind of unpredictable, actually. I mean, I told you guys Wu is a great home pitcher, which he is. But Soriano, for me, is just a dead toss at this point. Like, early season, he was an incredible buy pitcher. Now he's just sort of any other day. Like, he could be great. He could be terrible. It's not really any notable pattern. So he's looked kind of poor in his last couple starts, but sketchy games at the A's in a minor league park. I don't know. We'll just leave it at that. If anybody has anything in the chat, our guy says Seattle first 5 -0.5. Probably paying what? -130 plus for that, I'd imagine. And Wu will shove. Yeah, Wu is a great home pitcher. I don't see him struggling. That's why the line is also low. We'll leave it at that.
This is one of the shittiest series in the month of June, I think, here. It's really a letdown spot with these two teams. Like, there's just, nothing.
I agree.
Nothing.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, whenever the Angels get involved on these funky, 2-1 lines, it's all over the place. Like, remember when the Angels played the Athletics last week? It was like every game was 175. There was no predictability. The game split back and forth by 5 runs every other inning. It's just all over the place. So, yeah, forget this game. Let's keep it moving. Next game on the card, big dog stuff here. We never thought we'd say that in Sacramento baseball, but it is June 30th, 2026. Dodgers game 2 at Athletics. Last night, Mike called it correctly. I'll take the loss on that one. Dodgers laid the hammer with Lauer on the bump. Now you get Robleski at Springs, another short line. Mike, what's going on here?
I got to go with the Dodgers again here, man. I told you guys yesterday, they are stomping on lefties right now. The Southpaw Showdown, they are 5-0 now. It was 4-0 yesterday. Now it's 5-0. Robleski on the road as a favorite. He's 5-1, despite maybe his last start not being the best out there. So, look, I get it. You see this Athletics team and they're home. Here's the problem, and I talked about this yesterday. Bats, right? We got bats in the Dodgers. We don't really have an established strength in the pocket for the Athletics. And so what I think is these Dodgers, you want to look at the psychology when they come out here. I think these boys are thinking we can pad the stats. Let's swing for the fences. Let's clobber this game. Let's clobber this squad. Let's just go out there and get 2-3 multiple home run tries. I like the over. I like the 11. Take the over 11 in this game here. I like the Dodgers too. I'll probably get there with probably a run line. I mean, minus 108 for minus 1.5. They're going to have to win by margin, which I don't see is going to be a problem here, but I'm going to take the over 11. I think that's a good official spot to take in this shot.
Yeah, I actually agree. I like the over 11. We're going to be officially on that, but I'm not running and hiding, and I'm bringing back the beautiful A's hat. The buy hat is engaged, and I actually think this is a stronger handicap than last night, crazily enough. When I was going through it yesterday, I not to say that I really loved the short Dodgers anyway, but Lauer had actually been running a clean sheet on the road as a short favorite. That is not the case with Robleski in this spot tonight. And what is that spot for Robleski? Back-to-back road starts. This is the third time this year he's staying on the road off a previous road start. The first one, he had a emphatic win at the Angels, 15-2, 2 earned runs. Stayed on the road at Milwaukee, 5-1 loss, 5 earned runs. Second one, aced the Diamondbacks, road game 1. Another 6 innings, 0 earned runs. Game 2 at Pittsburgh, very poor. His worst outing of the year, 4 2/3 innings pitched, 4 earned runs. Now he's coming off of a great start at Minnesota. It's a distinct pattern. And you look at the A's side of this game. The A's are a bounce-back team at home. They've actually performed great off losses at home, great against the National League at home. And they're coming in here on a 3-game losing streak, which is where I think the market caps. And when I handicapped this before, I got to be honest. Our guy says can't fade Dodgers anytime. I'll give you a very precise reason as to why you can. Jeffrey Springs last year against the Dodgers in the road series at Chavez Ravine, Athletics 11, Dodgers 1. Blowout win. Springs, 7 innings pitched, 6 hits, 2 walks, 1 earned run. What was the line? Dodgers were laying minus 210. They're laying 145 now. It's a short gap, and it speaks to a tight game here. I think the A's will scrap it. I think the Dodgers are a little capped. As I said, Robleski, road start 2 is not the spot, and Springs has bizarrely great numbers against the Dodgers. The buy hat is engaged. Take the A's and let's cash. Mike, approaching an hour as always, and we got best bets.
Makes me a little nervous when you talk about that spring smash spot here, because you've got, this is where I look at the math and say, you know, you're right about the success that he's had. I'll use it loosely. 1 game essentially against these guys. He's got Teoscar Hernandez, 11 at bats, and he shut him down for an 0.91 batting average out there. But the rest of the guys have only seen him once or twice, maybe 3 times for Pajes and Betts. But, and then with these bats, those guys aren't sub 250 hitters. I think Springs gets feasted on here today. Fucking, this game goes over, and it's the Dodgers that put all 11 runs on the board to get us there. So anyhow, agree to disagree, but it's fun. That's what we're here for. Best bets time, my friend. I got a couple written down. I'm going to go with that Phillies run line, minus 104. I'm going to take the under 8 in the Texas game, minus 114. I'm going to take the Red Sox, minus 122. I'm going to take St. Louis, plus 133. And I'm going to take the Padres, plus 138 in that equation as well.
All right, let me see what I got here. We got a couple buy hats. The Yankees Or that's a collab, I believe, Mike.
Yeah, we both liked it. I was leaving that one for you.
Okay, Yankees. I'm giving the Brewers money or the Brewers run line as well. Plus 127. Gonna go with the over in the Twins game, 8.5 plus 104. Going over Marlins Rockies 11. And we'll wind it up with the last buy hat. Taking the A's. What's the line here? It's good. It's a good contrarian number too. You can get plus 150.
Scott's reminding you had the Jays as a hat too.
Oh, we'll put that on there as well. Yeah, I'll be posting the full card on X guys shortly. So, but yeah, we're on the Jays too. If you want to add that, please do.
All right, let's take a look at this parlay real quick here, Shark. Let's see if we can find ourselves a road to victory here. The path to the dub. How about? I hate it, but let's just put Seattle in there as that beefy favorite with Brian Wu. You cool with that?
Yeah.
How about the over in that Kansas City game? You cool with that?
Love it.
And how about
what about the Red Sox?
Yeah, I gave them out as a best, but I'm good with that. I'm good
Well,
with that.
if you don't want to be redundant, we could go with maybe the over in the White Sox game.
I was just looking at that. Yeah, okay. That sounds good. Over 10.5. So we got an over 9.5 in Kansas City, over 10.5 in the White Sox, and the Mariners to bring us home for this show parlay, you guys. Great job, as always. Thank you guys all for being here. If you're catching us live, make sure you comment post-show. Tell us which one of the plays are your favorites out there. And if you're on the replay, your comments and like button matter just as much, if not more. So we do appreciate you guys that take the time to listen to us on a regular basis. Enjoying the baseball season here. We're just down to about 2 weeks until the halfway point of the season. So data abundant, as my friend Shark likes to say, information wins. Shark, tell them what's up and where they can find you.
Yeah, absolutely. No, as you said, we got 2 weeks. I believe 2 weeks from today is actually the All-Star game, Tuesday night. I think that's correct. But that's really a key point is, we're moving along in the season, and we are, as you said, in a great space of information. You notice, guys, our handicaps get a little bit more precise at this point in the season where we see these distinct patterns, and it is the behavioral tendencies which become very transparent for teams right now. But what is transparent, guys? Always manage your bankroll. There's variance in this sport. Obviously, Mike and I handicap this for a living, and we even disagree on sharp takes. Like, that is how insane this sport is. So manage your bankroll. You will always see the light of day, and we will be back tomorrow for another day of that light. That is it for this one. MLB Bases Loaded, Tuesday, June the 30th, 2026. For Mike, I'm the Shark. Stay fast, stay strong, stay disciplined, and let's dominate.
I'm like an addict, do I gotta have it. I ain't even playing, got a really bad habit. If it moves, gotta grab it, fuse like a magnet. Lose, won't have it till I'm doomed in a casket. I ain't playing, got a weird mind. If you work 8 hours, I'ma work 9. If the shit tastes sour, you should taste mine.